Have you ever watched an amazing movie that was so great throughout, but the ending was just terrible? In the same regard, when it comes to public speaking, you can have an amazing presentation, but if your conclusion isn't that great, your presentation kind of falls flat. In that same regard, I ask myself a lot why so many phenomenal public speakers have amazing introductions that span time and space. It's just incredible. But their conclusion is just so bad in contrast to their introduction that it ruins the presentation. So that's why, in this week's episode of Master Talk, we're going to be discussing the importance of conclusions and how to conclude yours. Hi everyone, I hope you're having an amazing week. Brian from Master Talk here, your go-to channel to mastering your talk. And today we're discussing the importance of conclusions and how to conclude yours. So let's get into it. Similar to my famous, or not so famous, but video on introductions, it's important to keep in mind that there's no cookie cutter approach to mastering introductions or, in that regard, conclusions. You need to take my conclusions as an inspiration on how to improve yours. All's to say that I don't just want you to restate your main points from your presentation. Or if you do, you need to do it in a way that's more inspiring. I'm not saying it's a bad conclusion, but I'm saying there's many different ways of making that better. So let's take a couple of examples here. Number one, the vision state. I want you to paint a picture of how the lives of the people in a company or the organization or the entity you're presenting to are much better with your solution and with your recommendation. Paint that vision state. Paint the future. In a recent video I made, I presented a 10-minute pitch of my own presentation. And in that video, I presented a character named Michael, who started the presentation being a very loyal employee, but not getting properly rewarded for the work that he does. But at the end of the presentation, I don't just say, so thanks. I ended the presentation with, imagine the next time Michael walks into the doors of Vitality. He'll not only feel a sense of belonging to how great the company was, similar to the 10 years he spent there, but he'll also feel a sense of recognition. The recognition that stems from getting rewarded for the work he does. That is a much better way of concluding a presentation because you're showing the decision makers in the room, how life is better with Michael now because of the recommendation, the solutions we've proposed in this presentation. In that similar regard, I want you to paint a picture of what the future holds. Number two. Number two is what I like to call the one-liner. This is a conclusion I recommend to a lot of startups I coach on when they fundraise money to investors. At the end of the day, every single company has one sentence or one catchy phrase that summarizes their entire company. Whether it's Airbnb and making everyone belong anywhere, whether it's McDonald's and I'm loving it, and whether it's Tesla and creating innovation in any type of product they create, there's always one thing that stands out. And a great example of this is a startup I met called Overlook, which is essentially an app that helps track missing children within a city or a region. So a great way of ending that type of presentation is saying something like, we're Overlook and we believe that no children should be left behind. In other words, let's say they're talking to investors, they conclude with something as simple as this. And this is exactly why we're looking for $250,000 in investment of seed capital to bring Overlook to the next level. Because we believe at Overlook that no child should be left behind, and with your help, we'll be able to achieve that dream. Thank you very much. That is way more powerful than saying, what have we learned today from this presentation? A, Overlook is this. B, Overlook is this. C, Overlook is this. It's great, but it's not as punchy. It's not as memorable, right? So now that we've discussed the vision state and the one-liner, the third conclusion I want to leave you with is very simple. It's called back to the basics. So back to the basics is talking about how great a company or an organization was before a disaster occurred or before the problem occurred. So for example, let's say we take something like Tesla, right? You know, they've been having a lot of production issues with the car recently. So the way I would end the presentation, assuming I was there to help them fix that production issue, I would say something like, no matter what types of situation Tesla is in, whether it's in production or whether it's supply chain, we should never forget that every single person that buys a Tesla still remembers how great that product is. At the end of the day, Tesla, it's not the product that's the issue, because your products are amazing. It's just about bringing that product to a mass audience and to a way that everyone can enjoy the beauty of your product. And that's why we believe at Flow Consulting Group that by fixing the supply chain issues with Tesla, you'll be able to bring a product that people already want to the world. Bringing it back to the basics is making your decision makers remember a time where the company was great. Whether you're presenting to a company like HP, when the founders were running and how great the company was, whether you're presenting to Tesla by showing Elon Musk that this company is great regardless, you're able to bring it back to the basics and remember a time where everything was amazing. At the end of the day, conclusions are tough. They're not easy, and everyone wants to end their presentation as quickly as possible, despite putting all the effort to making their presentation so amazing before that conclusion. But the thing I want to stress here is that your conclusion is just as important as any other component of the presentation. And you need to end strong to end right and to end memorable. As always, if you enjoyed this week's episode of MasterTalk, be sure to smash that like button and subscribe to the YouTube channel as well to see more videos like this. And if there's anything I'll leave you off with this. If you know one person that concludes their presentation like this, so thank you very much for listening. Be sure to send them this video so that they'll be one step closer to mastering their conclusions and their talk. Thanks, guys. Take care.